Lingerie.
Yeah.
Lingerie.
Lingerie.
Lingerie. Okay. We're so silly.
Yeah.
No, we could totally do love languages that incorporate how to date in all phases of
I hate
relationship.
dating.
You're dating.
You're currently dating.
No, I have a boyfriend.
You're dating.
Well, we still go on dates.
Right.
Exactly.
You're dating.
I'm married, but I
You still go on
forced
dates.
Charles to take me out on fucking dates to the bowling ring.
Okay,
The
well,
bowling
then you guys
ring.
lead the discussion.
But you're the one that's dating.
You're dating too.
But I'm locked down.
No, but I am locked down. I am
all have
super
different
locked
Am
down.
I just a free ranger?
No, we just all have different perspectives.
No, but dating
of
in relationships, like in different phases of relationships. So
You
like,
still date Charles, and
Yeah,
you still date
exactly.
Chris.
Right. So we're all in different phases of dating.
Okay.
yes, exactly.
But I'm not in the market.
No.
These are just tips. These are tips of what you do while you're dating.
In
someone.
relationships
Okay.
or
Tips for
fiancé.
relationships, for the love of God. We've changed
No,
the
it's
topic.
fine. It's fine. It's fine. The dating one sounds good. It's fine.
You're like, I'm not dating. I'm like, aren't you? Aren't you in like the best part of the dating relationship part? Like that's the
That's
best
true.
part.
I know.
So
Should
we're all
be.
in different phases of dating.
Yes.
Yes.
Where are we?
Molly, you're married for how many years now?
It'll be 3 years and a few months. So
Okay.
this year it'll be 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang, 4 years.
I know.
I
Lovely.
am engaged. Been with Chris for 10 years. No wedding on the horizon just yet. Just bought a house. And you and Sandra,
Yes.
tell us your situation.
Well, I have a boyfriend now.
Woo!
What is it now?
How
I
long
don't
have
know.
you known him?
You guys,
Oh my gosh. Well, technically,
years?
yeah. I would say a very long time.
Dated how long?
So we've been talking about this. He's like, "What's our timeline?"
Yeah, what is your
What
timeline?
is our timeline?
Starts to get blurry.
honestly, it feels like a very Monica and Chandler kind of relationship. If you follow Friends,
Ooh, explain that for
Wait,
the people
why?
that don't.
if you follow
Well-
Friends, because Monica and Chandler were our friends, and then they were secretly dating
That's true.
behind everyone's backs for a number of years, which
Yeah.
is actually true in this regard.
I still remember when I found out.
I know.
I still remember when I found out.
But you know what I mean?
That's
so
true.
it was like that, right?
Yeah.
So
So what?
But then you guys separated for a little bit.
like Ross and Rachel.
And now you guys are just encompassing.
just the whole friend
Yeah.
situation.
and became Joey and Phoebe. Just kidding. No. Anyways.
Oh, wait.
No.
No.
No, I'm
No.
just
Wait, what happened with Joey and Phoebe?
Nothing.
nothing.
Oh, okay.
They were just both single for a long time, and then
Oh,
yeah,
got it. I get it.
it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
So this would be what? I don't know. We're just gonna slap 2 years on it.
Yeah,
2 years off and on.
Yeah.
on.
Oh, okay. Just delete.
Just delete those files.
we did.
Yeah,
10 years.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, there
that's
we go.
funny.
So 2 years.
I mean, I have a lot to even ask about that because you kind of been in the same situation where like you were
Right.
broken up,
We were
and then you guys
broken
had
up. We
you know
dated
your
someone
relationships
else.
or whatever outside of that current relationship. You guys came back in together, and so like, how did you guys even navigate coming back together? Right, so it was like you guys were apart, you did your thing, and all of a sudden you guys were like, actually, I want you. You know, like I actually want you in my life now. So how does that even happen?
I think very much like Sandra, like I think it was just like things kind of clicked where I was no longer with that other person. And then it just so happened that Chris's sister is my best friend, went to her graduation. Everyone was like, he's single, you're single, we love you guys together. My parents were there. His parents were like, please, because we hate his ex-girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
But nothing happened there. But then it kind of started the like conversation of like, hey, because my brother-in-law invited him to a trip with us for my sister's birthday, and then we just kind of ended up hanging out more and more, realizing, hey, he's not the same person. I'm not the same person. It did take a lot of reflection, if I'm going to be honest, of like, do I really want to even open this door? Because I was so stuck with who he was then. And so there was a lot of like, I don't know. Like I remember my sister would like catch me just like literally walking in circles, because it's like the only thing that I could think about was like, is this the right decision? And then we just decided to get back together. Yes, there was a lot of new learning stuff, because of course people do change over the years, but then you start to relearn them. And so I think that there was a lot of, like, everyone fights, right? But it was a lot of, like, I think I was still so stuck on who he was and who I was. And we were kind of fighting the past, essentially. And I think that at that point is when you have to kind of realize, either fucking let it go, or if you can't let it go, this isn't going to work out. So it was a matter of, okay, there is a maturity level here. Yes, we've been back together, 7 years now? So I was still super young, even though 7 years, people are like, oh, it's not a lot of time. But I think I was 23. You know,
Don't
like
your
a
cells
baby.
regenerate in 7 years, so you're a whole new person.
Your taste buds change.
Yeah.
So I think that we were still very young, but I think that in those 7 years, we've been able to really learn each other, and for the best, we are engaged now. We just bought a house. And so I think that in the beginning parts, you really have to do that reflection to make sure that it is really what you want, or are you just going back to a comfort zone of like, I already know this person. I don't have to go back into the dating pool and really put myself out there. It's like, I know this person. I know they like me. So it was a matter of like, am I doing this because I'm comfortable? And everyone wants me with him. So that was, I think, the hardest part of like, okay, is this the right decision? But
Like differentiating essentially society / your family's thoughts about this relationship versus your actual own thought about it. Interesting.
It's crazy, too, because there's a lot of people involved in that. Your best friend is his sister. And then your parents obviously all know each other, so there's a lot of intermingling.
right. And like, I think
It was an arranged marriage.
my situation was a little different because we broke up when my mom was going through chemo, which was one of the hardest times for me and my family. And I just resented him so much for that. Yeah. And so when we finally saw each other again and my parents were there, I was like more of the protector of like, don't talk to my mom. I don't like you. Like I literally had deleted him from my essential memory when people would ask about him when we broke up, because of how much like disrespect I saw when he did that.
Yeah. Did you guys end up talking about that? After
Yeah,
you
and
guys
he
got back
actually,
together?
he talked to my mom before I even talked to him, and he apologized. And he had also gone through a pretty horrific, accident. And so they kind of were able to relate to each other because he was out of work. He was essentially stuck to sitting on a couch all day long or doing what he could, but not really.
Yeah.
And she also was in that same boat. And so they kind of related there, and he apologized because he was like, I was young, I was dumb. And I just wasn't thinking correctly. And, which for me, that helped me that he talked to my mom, because I was so resentful of him because of that time. So it was just like a lot of work that needed to be done because I realized that, hey, I was holding on to so much hate about him that I think that was what was making me contemplate, should I get back with him?
Yeah, that's hard.
That is
Especially
hard.
with what your mom went through and going through breakups is not easy at all.
Right.
And so I can only imagine going through that, because you guys had already been dating for 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years, and then you guys broke up, and then your mom going through all of her health stuff. That's hard, because I've heard that too with couples who's, they have somebody that passes or whatever, and on top of that they're going through a breakup. I can only imagine just like the double
grief.
up in loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we've grown from it, which is great. Yeah.
Yay.
Now your turn.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I think that during the separation, there's so much growth that happened. But even though our separation happened, I'm so grateful for it. Like, I think that the timing is so perfect. Obviously, our situation is a little bit different too, given that we started doing long distance, and so that has its own dynamics on its own.
Right.
But yeah, breaking up, it was one of those things where, he wanted to like focus on himself, and just there was a lot of things that he wanted to grow and develop in. And now that we're back together, like I can see the growth, and I feel like we both took the time to really do me, like do
Right.
me, him do himself.
Right.
And you can see the growth, and I'm so thankful for it, because you can see how different some of the mentality is, and just even the way that like he engages with me now and approaches me. It's just completely different. But it's one of those things where it's long distance, but we work for the same organization, so there's still a lot of interaction. Company events, and then obviously his family being out here, and so we always kept in touch. In the beginning, not so much, just because it was one of those
Fresh.
we're broken up, and sometimes when you break up with somebody, you have that like, oh, well, I'm supposed to be mad at them or, villainize them to make the whole process easy.
100%.
But I think our breakup was one of those, well, it's not that I don't like you. It's just that the way that the circumstances are, being long distance and just all of that comes with it, it's just like best if we're not together.
Yeah.
And so that happened, and then still after the breakup, a couple months after, I was like, okay, well, I mean, I still want him in my life. I don't feel like I should have this attitude of, well, we have to be mad at each other because we're broken
not together.
up. Yeah, we're not together. So we maintained a friendship. And it was very difficult too, because again, I think that there was always still feelings there when you would see each other.
The tension.
Yeah,
The
and
tension.
it's like,
Sexual tension.
and then there were periods where we would talk, and then like periods where it was just like silence. And I remember just even sharing with you where I'd just be in my head like, I gotta move on. And I'd go through periods where I'm like, yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm moving on.
Like,
And
I'm
then-
good now.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm like,
I literally was just thinking like the
Yeah.
amount of internal conflict
that
you had that you didn't even show. When we would be at R&R or if we were at some other trip, I'm like, I thought, because you couldn't tell that you had any kind of conflict, but I was like, if I were her, I would just be like, well, I remember like last trip, we were together, and like, what if I go and hang out, or what if we go out and he's there? Like, but you never showed it.
Oh my
but
gosh.
I know that you had a lot of
Oh,
internal
I
conflict.
really did. I had so much, but I think, again, I think that this time was great, even for me, to just kind of watch myself and process myself with that conflict as well, just because it allowed me to just really become my own, and just really kind of, I don't even know what the word is, but just really rise above that conflict for myself. Because at the end of the day, the way I saw it, it was like, okay, well, he's his own person, I'm my own person. And even regardless if we were to get back together in the future, I still have to do me, and he still has to do himself. Right. And so, I think I did the work. I focused on me. I got a therapist, I got, a fitness coach. And so I started dating as well, which is kind of crazy. And through it all, I just kind of thought to myself, this person kind of keeps on coming in like my mind, and I can't let it go. And I think honestly that things just got to the point where I knew that I still had feelings, and I could sense that there was still feelings on the other end as well from his side. And for me, it got to the point where it was one of those, like, we're either going to do something about this, or I really have to, like, really, really move on. Like, it just kind of came down to that. And so we ended up having a conversation about it. Turns out that he felt the same way as well. And I'm happy that we had the conversation, and I remember talking about it with you, and you're like, Sandra, you just gotta say something, and you watched me through all of that. And so, yeah, I'm happy that we had the conversation, and, there was a whole, like, apologies for, the past, and then also to just talked about how we want to do things different this go around. And yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot more details to that, but I feel like our story is just kind of
collided.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And when it comes down to now, you mentioned you guys are both showing up a little bit differently. What does that look like? Because as far as long distance goes, right? Because as far as long distance goes, regardless, it's going to be difficult.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. But like, how are you showing up a little bit differently to him? How is he showing up differently to you? That makes you have a little bit more of a sense of you guys are actually choosing each other.
Yeah, I think that the approach that we have towards one another, it just really feels like walls are completely down. So not that they weren't before, but it just feels like there's an extra level of vulnerability between us.
Love.
And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we have made a very clear choice, like you're saying, that we are choosing each other. And so that feels really good, because even in that friendship, in between the files that we're choosing to delete, I remember there was a part of me where I was like, you know what, if we're friends, like, I'm going to fully be me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to try and impress anybody. I'm not going to, I'm just going to be me. And so, with that, I feel like now being in an actual relationship, it just feels really good to just fully be able to express myself and be who I am. And I see it on his end too, just being himself. And again, it's not that we weren't that before, but it just feels different this go around. And even with the long distance, when we got back together, it was one of those immediate, like, okay, let's plan a trip for you to come out here. Let's celebrate with our friends, and just being open that way. And even other little things too that we've talked about, and just kind of keeping boundaries in certain areas that we didn't before, to just kind of make each other feel more secure in the relationship, which I appreciate so much, because that part feels new as well.
I have a question for you. Now, I think there's a fair amount of people out there that contemplate getting back with their ex, because maybe they're playing that, like, let's hang out, but not tell anybody, or they see someone, or they see each other at a party, or wherever it is. There is people that are contemplating getting back together with their ex. What are some, I guess, tips to walk themselves through? Should they or shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of people might misconstrue what we're saying here of, like, it's all puppies and rainbows because you got back with your ex. And it just so happened to work out with us. But for other people, it might not be the right decision.
Yeah. That is a great question. And I love that question, because I remember part of the work that I did, I absolutely joined this program and got this coach. Her name is Breakup Coach Dorothy, which I love. Oh my goodness. And she brought up a good point to answer your question. But she said that oftentimes when you miss somebody, you not necessarily miss the person, but you miss either the life that you had or the life that you thought that you were going to have with them. And so in thinking about getting back with your ex, I think that you have to be very clear about what it is that you actually miss. Is it the person, or is it the lifestyle, or the dates, or the experiences, those feelings, which there's nothing wrong. Obviously, we all want companionship and that kind of commitment and that kind of relationship. But when you're considering getting back with somebody who used to be exactly how you said, right? Like thinking about it, like what is it exactly that, why do I want this? And so I think that's the first thing to check. It's like, what do you miss? Because part of that program that she would walk you through, she's like, hey, if you do end up getting with your ex, there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to make sure that you're able to build the life that you want on your own without somebody else. And then if that ends up happening, awesome. But at least you're now in a position where you have placed yourself, like where you can give that love and that attention that you want from somebody else to yourself. Because a lot of the times when we are craving those things, sometimes it can be a sign that you haven't given that to yourself. Whether it's you complimenting your own self and being confident in you, or
using the 5 love languages, like give yourself the gifts or give yourself the experiences
or the time,
taking yourself out on a date or whatever. Like, I think that you really have to check yourself on what it is that you truly miss about that person, and get clear on that. Just kind of get really brutally honest about it, because I think that will give you a really good sign of whether that is a good idea or not. Those are my thoughts on that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Snaps for Sandra.
That was good.
That program really helped me so much. Oh my God.
That is cool.
I know.
Wake up, Dorothy.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah, she's so good. And a lot of her work applies not only to just breakups, but just loss in general. And so that was very, very helpful because it kind of helped to just kind of shift my mindset of like, oh yeah, like I can do these things for myself. And I want to position myself in a place where I am happy on my own, so that anybody else that comes along, whether it is an ex relationship or not, they're just an added bonus to a happy life already, and I think that in that way you're able to, have a really good relationship because you're not
depending that on the other person.
You're not depending on them to make you happy. Like you're happy already. Everything else is just an added bonus, which is great.
Yeah. I love that.
So what about you? What do you think?
I think that's spot on, because really you could be missing the memories, right? But it's like, what was it about the memories? Is it that they actually were in them, or is that you were just coincidentally having a great time every time they were with you?
Yeah.
Right? Because that you can replicate that with anybody. Maybe not anybody, but people that you have a good chemistry with. So I think that was spot on. Is it really the person and how they treated you, how you learned from each other, how you grew together? Or is it I missed going out to Florida and having a good time every time we were there? Because it's kind of like the Bachelor effect
phase. Yeah.
How so many people they found statistically that they end up, let's say, getting married or whatever on The Bachelor, deciding to select them, giving them the final rose. What ends up happening is after they go into the real world, then they end up breaking up because they've fallen in love with the experiences that they had with the person, not the actual person. Because you have cameras in your face and you guys are talking about how amazing everything is, and people are handing you champagne and you're going on a jet or whatever. But it's because I think it's what's the word? Like a false sense of actual love. Yeah. You're not actually falling in love with the person.
Yeah. Just the experiences.
The experience. And then you go into real life where you're actually having to have conversations about money and where we're going to live.
And chores.
And who's fucking cooking tonight? Then there's that, because no one was cooking for you. Like there was a chef cooking for you. You're not dealing with money because bachelor has sponsored the ring that you're giving them, a 3-carat ring. And it's like, you didn't have to deal with money then, right? So I think that there's that people have to really think about. Is it the person or is it just everything else that went with it? So I think that was spot on.
Yeah, it's true. Because then things get real. It's like, like you're saying, who's going to do this? Who's going to do that kind of situation?
Yeah.
But
But I think in the dating pool or the dating, even when you're married, when you're engaged, when you've been together for 2 years, like there's still that level of you continue to learn new things about them. And it's really exciting if you do that and you have that perspective. If not, and you're just kind of like, he's the same person since day one, that is kind of, to me, is like, ugh, or really boring to find that there isn't new levels to your significant other. Because then that probably means that you have no levels either, like no new levels. But I think learning new things about them and like having different conversations, you know, like me and Chris went to Mammoth back in December. And it's just so fun now to be able to like sit, grab a drink, and just have conversations about things that lead to other things that lead to other things. There's never like okay, I want to go back to the condo. Like, it's just like you can sit there and just talk to them and learn new perspectives that they have. And I don't know, for me, it's really fun to be able to do that. Over like, well, now we have more money, so let's go to a different place, which that's fun too, don't get me wrong, but it shouldn't matter where you're at as long as you're with them. And that part is the exciting part for me, and the like continue to date the person that you've been with for a really long time. That's my 2 cents.
I agree with that. I mean, Charles and I, we booked a trip really abruptly, not abruptly, but out of very spontaneously a couple of weeks ago to Mammoth, actually. And it was like one of those out of the blue moments where it was like, I'm down if you're down. I'm like, I'm down if you're down, because you're going to be driving and I'm going to be passenger princess and I'm just going to be, it's up to you. Right. And so it to me is still a level of dating and like really choosing to spend time with each other, because it wasn't like we were planning to do it with other people. Like it was just me and him on the road doing the thing that we absolutely love, which is snowboarding. Right. Like that is a hobby that we got to fall in love with together, right? And so I love being able to do that with him. I think that even being married now, it'll be 4 years this year. I feel like with each kind of level of marriage, there are new things that we're learning about each other and like new avenues that we'll like start to experience or test out or just be very open-minded with. And so I think the whole dating aspect is still like amazing. And in all honesty, I talk about this with you, Sandra. Your partner isn't going to be the only person to fill your cup.
Right.
And so being able to know that and being able to at least be open about any situation, like, hey, he's like, I need to work tonight. Okay, cool. Like, that's okay. You're setting a boundary with me. I'll hang out with my friends or whatever. And like, we have the ability to do that. And if like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to hang out with my parents because I haven't seen them in a while. It's not like he's mad at me or anything like that. It's just like, I just want to go hang out with my parents. Like I still think that in any relationship, being able to at least have a community of people that you're around is very important, because your partner isn't going to be the only one to fill your cup. And the last couple of, let's say like the last couple of months, we've been through like really cool experiences together. Like even like we went to Portland for New Year's, which was absolutely super fun. And again, it feels like dating still in a way, because I'm like, babe, are you down? Let's do it. Let's book a trip. We had points and it was easy. It was like an easy call. Like being with someone that is honestly, I feel like we're just on the same wavelength in these things, because it's not anything difficult to decide, right? The hardest decisions, I feel like when you have zero clarity in what you're trying to accomplish. If we're trying to solve for this, we're just trying to solve for a fun weekend. Let's do it. All right, cool. Portland was super fun because we had moments in which like we got to hang out with ourselves as well as my best friend Lon. Shout out to Lon. Thanks for letting us stay over. He's really awesome and sweet. But we're in a really cool season. I can't wait to share more down the line with how everything will start to transpire. But for now, I'm keeping things on the down low. But I'll let you guys know how everything is. I'm very, very direct with Charles too. Like if I am feeling a sort of way, like if I am craving his attention, I am very open about it. It's because he's been busy. I'm like, take me out on a date this Friday, this weekend, because I need you. Like, I need you. Like, and that's flat out it. And he's like, okay, where do you want to go? I'm like, actually, I don't want to decide. I want you to decide this time.
Yeah.
Because I decide all the fucking things when it comes down to these things. I want you to take me out. And he's like, okay, cool. All right, let's do it. I'm like, that's all I need. We go walk out, we go bowling, we go walk out, and then we'll, I don't know, just sometimes I just want to stay at home. I'm like, can we just play and like do art or like make art, whatever. Like it's so simple. Like I'm not super, I don't think I'm high maintenance at all. Like I'm very just like, just spend time with me and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Tell me that you love me and I'm beautiful and I'm happy. Like fucking do
I think
that.
that's super important because so many people expect the other person to just know them because we've been together for 10 years. You should know what I want on a Tuesday. It's like, no, like tell them that, like that little thing of telling them, hey, we haven't hung out. We haven't had a good dinner, whatever. Hey, can you plan it? Because I do the exact same thing with Chris. And now we're in a different phase because we were where you guys are at of like, oh, travel and like, you know, because it's so much fun. But now it's like, now we're going to learn each other of having a house. And
I'm excited for you for that.
Hey, tonight you got dinner because I don't want to do goddamn shit.
Yeah.
And like, I will say that. Or he will, you know, if I know he's been working a lot, I will do that, right? But it's just a matter of being super clear of what you want. You can't expect someone to read your mind unless you're dating a psychic, which I highly doubt. But you shouldn't expect those things.
Yeah.
You should tell them.
Yep.
And I think that that changes everything because then if you're expecting someone to do something, you're going to get mad when it doesn't happen. And then they're going to be like, why are you mad? And it's like, well, I thought that you would X, Y, Z. And it's like, why would you think that if you didn't tell me that? You know, because I've learned the hard way, right? Like I've told Chris a few things of like, I just expected you to do this. And it's like, why would you expect me to do that if you didn't tell me you wanted that? Because I can't read your mind. I don't know what you want. So
That's so good.
learn the hard way, but still, like if you're listening to this, start now before you have to learn the hard way and get angry at someone for not doing something you expected.
Yeah. I love what you said too about not putting that pressure on that person to fill every single need, because I think that is a mistake that we can make. And it's something that I've also learned the hard way as well, but you can't, which is what I meant by like, you have to make sure that you're happy first. I see it as one of those things like the whole plane thing where you have to put the mask on
Gas
for
mask,
yourself first.
Yeah.
So that then you can help other people. I think it's the same thing as well, you know, making sure that you understand that there is community, there is friendships, there is family, that, you know, all play a part in, you know, your love bucket, you know, I think.
I like
and
that.
So, yeah. And I think that your partner is that extra special person that gets to, you know, take a bigger piece, but it's not the only piece. And I think that you can't forget about all of those other people in your life that add so much value in the relational side of things.
Yeah, I think it's important for your significant other to know that as well. Because sometimes the problem is the other person doesn't think that you should have other outlets.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's
Where it's like that opposite, like I'm supposed to be the only one, your priority all the time.
Right. That should fill all of your buckets. Like that's why we're together, is because I am your everything. Right. And I think that a lot of people miss that and I'm sure there's so many fights that happen and arguments that happen because if someone wants to go and hang out with a friend because they meet a different type of need. Now, obviously, there's caveats to this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's boundaries as well, but also I think that comes with a level of maturity, or either, like you're saying, learning it the hard way. Yeah. But I think every person, you know, you're your own person individually. You just come together and you take the same journey, but you're like still, you know, your own person. And so you still have to take care of yourself so that you can show up in a very healthy way in this relationship with the other person. Yeah, you can't just have somebody carry the entire weight. So, yeah.
I mean, we kind of incorporated that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Any questions from our audience?
Any questions from the audience? No. In your own personal
I know in
dating journey.
I mean, we have people, dating, married. Any questions for the people of America?
How to keep it spicy.
That is a good, yeah. How do you keep things spicy? True answer, lingerie.
I don't know. I love going on dates with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you don't have to worry about other people. Like I personally, like I kind of loathe, like when I'm like, okay, Chris, like let's go to dinner, and he's like, oh hey, like these people are coming with us, and I'm like, if I had the like expectation of it's like date night or something,
yeah.
Or like if we go somewhere and somehow Chris knows someone, and then they pull up a fucking chair, and I'm like, Chris,
God damn, that's
home.
me sometimes.
Yeah, Chris is a total eye.
Yeah.
And so he just has friends fucking everywhere. And
Chris is a huge eye.
Huge eye.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
He's
I'm a D.
huge eye. And so that's why I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, I get, like, we'll go to Mammoth. Oh, did I wipe something on my head?
So
It's black. It's probably from this.
oh my God, it totally is the black. She got
I have a microphone.
you got black fuzzies.
Like, we'll go, I remember last year for my birthday. The first day, it was just going to be me and him. And so I'm like, I love skiing with him, grabbing a drink, and then we just hang out and have a good time. We can go to the jacuzzi, whatever. And we get to Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like texting back and forth. And I'm like, who the fuck are you texting? It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, oh, Devin and a group of his friends are here. So I told him we'd go skiing with him. And I was like, no. And I was like, okay. And I actually was like, Chris, thank you for letting me know. Going forward, though, when it's my birthday, it's about me.
Do not text your friend Devin and friends. No.
And he was like, oh, do you want, like, it's totally fine. Like, we'll just go skiing. And I was like, no, at this point, like, I'm not going to be that party pooper. And I'm sure these guys are so fun anyways, but I'm like, just going forward, like, check in with me before you make different plans.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. And I just was like, oh my God, I hate when like he just has friends everywhere and they just somehow end up in the exact, doesn't matter where we're at, could be in Antarctica, and there could be someone building an igloo and they're like, Chris, you're here. And I'm like, okay. So that's just, I think that's the downfall of a D dating an I,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh gosh.
Sometimes you just want your own time. Because we do have a good time together, and I cherish those moments.
Yeah.
And when it's like, I'm sharing that quality time with other
somebody
people.
else.
But that's just me, keeping it spicy.
I love that.
that is funny.
Yeah. Anyways.
I'm laughing in my head now. Sorry. Not about you, just about my thoughts. Crotchless panties.
Oh, that's so funny. I remember that.
Did we have a conversation about this a long time ago?
Yeah, we did.
We did, but what was it about?
I think it was literally
Buying them? No, I'm just kidding.
Literally, it was buying them. I think we had and then we were going to talk about if they work or not. They
Yeah.
work.
They
Well, I mean, they don't really work.
Wait, have you tried them?
No, but like
Oh.
they work for not working. Might as well take them off. What's the point?
Okay, let me just share. Because with lingerie, I'll just get into it really quickly because I think it's really funny. Again, spicing it up, lingerie, whatever. If you buy lingerie, right, like you're buying it with the idea of having to fucking take it off. So why not have lingerie where you can utilize them, have to take them off, so they serve their
got a
purpose.
point.
That is it.
She's got a point.
That is all. Keeping it spicy.
That's true. Some people, though, and I've seen it because, like, I'll go to bridal showers or whatever, and the point of the bridal showers is to give the bride some lingerie for the wedding night.
Yeah.
Which, surprisingly, in my experience in going to bridal showers, it's usually the older women, like the moms,
That do
aunts, that are, and then everyone else is like, oh, dear. Like, and they're, like, younger, too, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what the? So I've gotten my girlfriends lingerie for their bridal shower, and they're just like, and I'm like, why?
Come on.
Wait, you're going to tell me you're not going to have sex when you get married? Everyone can tell, and especially the moms are the ones that are the most experienced, of
Yeah.
like keeping things spicy or whatever. And so the moms are usually the ones that are super excited and
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like, come on, why can't we be free?
Open it.
Share.
I mean, one of the freaking traditions in your freaking wedding party is your garter being ripped off by your man's mouth during that, which is a funny tradition, like that you're doing in front of your entire family.
Everyone. And of course, they put on like pony.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's funny. Life is funny. But
Can't wait for you guys to watch Chris do that.
see, weird. I'm just
Poor
kidding.
child
I'll watch
has
that.
2 left feet. Yeah.
I'm sure he line dances. It's fine.
We were watching my parents' wedding video the other day.
Oh.
And I was like, my dad was such a stud. He was such a young stud, And then like they were doing the garter thing. And I was like, oh my God, they're so young to think
Yeah.
they're like our age. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
My parents are wild, but
Your parents are wild.
besides the point.
They keep it spicy.
I was about to say they keep it spicy.
Yeah. So I think I've been able to have that example as opposed to other people might have more reserved parents that don't even give each other kisses. and
Question.
stuff.
Okay. With that, because you know that your parents are very physical touch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you were the opposite because you saw that so much in your life and you were like, nah, I'm not like that. Because you know that you're not like
Right.
that.
I'm not affectionate, which I'm
Yeah.
going to talk to Yesenia about that
Yeah.
to figure out where in my past life something just got fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know because it could be
Maybe.
right? But then I still want that affection from my partner.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, it's like everybody else.
Are
Don't
your
touch
sisters
me.
like that?
Bubble.
Like, do you know what your
No.
sisters are like?
No, my younger sister's super affectionate.
Yeah.
My older sister's the mom, like she is nurturing and affectionate, whatever. For me, everyone knows, like, Dre.
Don't touch her.
Don't touch her. She
Dre
doesn't
is-
like it.
My first word was no. I was very like, leave me alone. But also, I guess second children have that kind of issue. I don't know. Whatever. I'm just making assumptions here.
It's okay.
So we don't know. We
Okay.
don't
I was just
know.
curious.
But that's a good point.
How do you keep it spicy long distance?
I'll tell you a thing or two. Just kidding.
Oh, tell me.
Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that we've done a really good job of traveling back and forth. Obviously, we just restarted things back up, but I think that, even like the first weekend after we got back together, it's like, hey, come out here. So I'll let you guys know as, the relationship continues to evolve.
Lingerie.
Yeah.
Lingerie.
Lingerie.
Okay. We're so silly.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That'll be the clip in the beginning of the podcast.
Lingerie.
Yeah. But I think I think not being afraid to be flirty. I think for me, just kind of keeping it fun and still being flirty. Even with you, actually, if you remember, like, it was funny. I think we were at
She flirted with
R&R.
you?
No.
Just kidding.
And I remember, we were there together in the pool and we were just being like flirty and like a part of you were like, ugh, I don't know, mom, And I was like, I don't care. Because I just want to be able to be that person where it's like, I don't know, it's just fun, free and flirty and like, I don't know. I just don't want to like hide it, I guess.